So look, today I thought it might be nice just to reflect on my experience and share with you 6 things that I have learned from being a solo mum. So let's just get right into it. The first thing that I've learned from being a solo mum is the value of time. I have learned to completely rethink my life in terms of time, our most precious resource. As a solo mum, I have my kids with me every single day. I don't do any shared custody, anything like that. I am responsible for my kids day in and day out. You know, just because I've become a solo mum doesn't mean that I've lost my ambition. Like, I am quite an ambitious person. I have like goals that I want to do, projects that I want to do. You know, I'm trying to start like a little small business. I obviously love making YouTube videos. I love fitness. I love getting out and being healthy. So how do you do that as a single mom, as a solo mom? What I've learned is how much you can get done in a short amount of time. Like, there's a lot that can happen in half an hour. There's also a lot that can happen in an hour or 2 hours or even 3 hours. Like, I've just had to be like so focused, so learn how to prioritize, think about what's important, and just really learn about the value of time. The second thing that I've learned from being a solo mom is how important self-care is. How important, so important, like so important, like to the point where I actually considered starting a business about making self-care boxes for people, because if you don't work on self-care or do something for self-care as a solo mum, you will get burnt out, stressed out, like it just goes down the drain. And once you start to get burnt out, like stressed out, depending on how severe it is, that's just plain dangerous. When you get to the point that you are so burnt out and so depressed that you can't even look after your own kids, there's a problem, because obviously kids need their mum. Okay, the third thing that I have learned as a solo mum is a kind of a surprising one, and that is that grief happens not just when someone dies. That was something that just blew my mind. I mean, when I think of before I became a solo mom, I used to think of the word grief and I'd kind of associate it with like someone dying. And I'd be like, okay, well, no one's died. I mean, I didn't even think that would happen to me. I didn't even think that I would experience grief as a solo mother, but I did. I actually experienced grief, and I had to process that and like work through it and actually just spend some time alone, working on myself, getting like mentally strong, getting emotionally strong, and just actually processing all of the grief that came with becoming a solo mum. So in my situation, I had to basically let go of the idea that I had a family. I had to let go of like my idea of a family. Okay, the fourth thing that I have learned as a solo mom is one that's a little bit cliche, but it's basically how strong I am. I've learned that I am actually pretty strong. I'm quite resilient. Like, when I think back to the early time when I was a solo mom, like I became a solo mom when my son was 2 months old. 2 months old, the dad left, and that was that. He did not come back. When I think back to that time of being alone with a child and a 2 months old, day in, day out, 24 hours a day, when I look back on that time, I honestly don't know how I did it. When I think back, I'm like, how did I do that? I actually don't know. Like, it was full on. Like, yeah. So I guess what I've realized is that, like, yeah, how strong I am. But yeah. I also just want to add, I don't think that that's also a good thing. I mean, it's like, I've learned that I am strong, but I also don't think that that's a good thing. I don't think that that's something that we should aspire to. I think that we shouldn't have to be strong. Like, we should have family around us helping. There should be people around. Next, I have learned what is really important in life. I've learned how important my kids are to me. I've also learned how much my faith is important to me. Like, I don't know if that's like socially acceptable to talk about on YouTube, but literally, like, I mean, I had to start going back to church. I was running out of faith. I was running out of hope. I was just like feeling so lost, so heartbroken. And then it just came to me. I was like, I need to start going back to church. And it really just filled me up with hope, and it started to like heal me, help heal me from the inside, from like the heartbreak that happened after I was a solo mom. So yeah, learning what's important to me. Now when I think about what's important in life, kids, church, self-care, and then comes everything else. And last but not least, this is a little bit sad actually, but what I have learned is how hard it is to find love again as a solo mom. Like it's, oh my goodness, it's quite sad actually. That's why I made another video about the benefits of dating a solo mom. Not because I'm trying to like advertise myself or anything like that, but I was just getting frustrated with how much shit there was out there, people banging on solo moms and being like, oh, it's so awful, don't ever date a single mom, blah blah blah. Like, firstly, why do we not say that about dads? Because I don't see any videos out there about like, you know, how bad it is to date a solo dad, but for some reason there's this horrible stigma against solo moms. So that's just the last thing I want to add, is that like, yeah, how hard it is. Anyway, those are the top 6 things that I've learned from being a solo mom. I would love to hear what you've learned. Tell me in the comments, like, what have you learned from being a solo mom? Are there solo moms out there? Anything you want to say about this video, anything you want to comment on it? That's all I can think of for now, but I would love to hear your thoughts. So that's it for today. Feel free to subscribe if you are enjoying this or you find this at all interesting, at all helpful. I've got plenty of other things that I want to talk on that I feel like will be helpful to people. So yeah, I will see you next time. Bye!